Welcome back, friends. Zach here, full-time online reseller, and I'm out on an expedition again, out looking for anything I can buy to resell online. I am primarily a clothing reseller who specializes in menswear, but I also dabble in some women's clothing, including outerwear, shoes, and denim, and I love to source and resell any type of worthy collectible, especially kids' toys or anything vintage. So come along, I'm gonna share with you at the end of this video everything I found in my local thrift scene to buy and resell online. So let's do this. Started off in the hard goods in the back. Seen this immersion blender, so I grabbed it. I was hoping it was a KitchenAid. It wasn't, so I definitely put it back. Made my way to the clothing aisle. Seen this vintage Ralph Lauren polo, a little bit faded and the price way too high. Made my way over to the jacket aisle. Always laugh when I run into this Arctics brand. It's garbage, wannabe Arc'teryx. But I was happy to find this North Face Dry Vent boys raincoat. It was $8.99. I paid up for it, but I can usually sell these for $25-30. I'll just toss it in the spring death pile and be patient. So one can dream, and this is somewhere I'd love to go someday, Machu Picchu. Until then, this might be the best I ever get. Digging through women's jackets, there was this Liz Claiborne, had some wool in it, but it was kind of beat up. Looking high, looking low, looking hard. Not much to be sourced today. Find a lot of low-end brands like these George men's slacks from Walmart. Garbage, worthless. But I did end up running into this pair of Jinko men's cargo shorts. I'm not certain they're worth a ton, but for $5.49, it was worth a shot. These here may just be average, and that's okay. Sometimes you got to take risks with reselling. So I hated to turn my back on my business partner. Carhartt's been good to me over the past few years, but these ripstop cargo shorts were priced just too high for this time of year. But this is an upgraded material, so keep an eye out for ripstop. Be on the lookout for Nike pieces with camo. This t-shirt had some issues with the sewing on it, so it stayed. Then I found myself in the shoe aisle. It was a barren wasteland today at my local Goodwill. So if you're into sourcing Gorpcore or adventure apparel, things like North Face, there are different lines, and if you can find the right lines, they'll sell faster, they'll sell for more. So be on the lookout for the Dry Vent line. This rain jacket's a little beat up, and I paid up a little bit for it, but kids' rain jackets do well, and as I have often said in past videos, those mama bears don't want their kiddos to get wet or get cold, and so that's the market I'm trying to go after. The other good find today, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to look it up, was a pair of some Jinko cargos. I don't think these are worth a fortune, but I only paid $5 and some change for them. With Jinkos, what are really worth a ton of money are the big, super wide leg jeans. And from what I do understand, I don't know a ton about Jinko. If there is more embroidery or bigger embroidery, graphics, logos, those tend to get better money. I'm excited to try to figure out what these are worth. I think I can still pull some cash out of them. And for $5.49, I couldn't walk from them. Pause my little safari for about an hour. I had to go get my ears lowered. I needed a haircut, and fortunately I have a very good friend that helps me out with that, but I'm done with that now, so I'm back on the thrifting scene. I am sitting right outside of the Secondhand Wolf thrift store in Farmington, New Mexico. This is a smaller store, but I know the people who operate it well, and this is a nonprofit that helps to feed and keep a wolf sanctuary in business, and so I don't mind helping these people out. I like to source from them when I can find items. Again, it's a smaller store, so it's hard to say if I'll find anything to purchase today, but let's go in here and see if we can't find something good to resell online for profit. Digging through clothing, most of these polos have been on this rack since the dawn of time, so nothing I haven't seen before. No surprise there, but much of Ralph Lauren is good. Chaps is not, so stay away from Chaps. Please do yourself a favor. Do not invest in Chaps. Flashback to one of my grandmother's pantries. She was a hoarder, but all these baking sheets and cooking pans remind me of her. So give me a shout out in the comments. If you sell ties, give me an idea of some great brands. I am clueless when it comes to ties. I come across them all the time. Went back over to the clothing aisle, started digging through this rack. It was a youth boys rack, a lot of hoodies. Found this Ariat. Love me some Ariat. I sell a ton of it, but it didn't have the size tag, so I'll have to end up measuring it. No big deal. I've sold this exact hoodie several times in a men's size, and camo is hot. It's digital. It's a great brand. Some little cowboy will want it. Some little cowboy's mom will pay up. Then I came across two different King's Camo XKG pieces. Now, camouflage is hot this time of year. You can sell camouflage good in the fall and in the winter months. Paid $8 a piece on this half zip as well as the jacket. And I ended up passing on this. I could have bought it and sat on it for a while and probably sold it. Just a cool 90s piece. Figured I'd share it. And I did look up this piece. There was only one that had sold, and it sold for about 16 bucks. I didn't want to pay $5 for it, so just skipped. But I'm a skateboarder, a surfer, and a snowboarder at heart, and this Ron John piece was just too cool, so I grabbed it. Then I dug my way through the shoe aisle. Not much. Bunch of old school high-tech mountain boots. Had that same pair as a kid. Crazy. Okay, there's a 20, and I'll give you a Abraham Lincoln. How's that?
Sounds cool to me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So $23 spent. I spent $8 on each of the camo pieces, $5 on the Ron John vintage pullover, and then $2 on the Ariat Youth digital camo hoodie. And so I'm happy with that. I wish I could have found a few more items, but that's just the way it goes, and I definitely had to dig deep on this adventure. But I'm gonna go and hit one, maybe two more stops and share with you what I can find at those establishments. Hopefully we do a little bit better than we've done so far this morning. Here at yesterday and today's thrift store, and my good friends who do the intake at this establishment are always looking out for me. They put me on these super cool lot of Atari vintage video games. Now, a lot of Atari games by themselves aren't worth a whole lot, but these all have the boxes. They're all in great shape, and many of the games, despite the boxes being open, don't really look like they've been played. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop all these up. Not sure if I'd sell these as a lot or might just sell them one by one. The box definitely helps the value for sure, but I love anything vintage. I love old vintage toys from when I grew up, and Atari is right in that realm. Found a couple pairs of sandals that I'm going to go ahead and pick up today, but I'm going to stash them in my spring and summer death pile. More and more as I become more successful as a reseller, I'm thinking more about the next season to come instead of the season I'm in. So as we're in winter now, I'm actually thinking about trying to source as much spring and summertime clothing and shoes as I can for as cheap as possible. And so these Montana Wests, they're not worth a whole lot, but they're a popular brand. They got that bling, they got that fake turquoise, and it's a good Western wear sandal to sell in the summer. But this brand right here is exceptionally good. These are Tread Labs, and this is right up the old adventure apparel alley. These are worth some good money, and I just happened to catch these out of the corner of my eye, so I'm glad I seen them. But again, I'll have to sit on these for a couple months before I can list them, because it's just not that time of year. But if you're getting into selling clothing, be thinking about the seasonal nature and how you always need to be sourcing clothing year round for different seasons. $16 spent, got a whole lot of cool Atari games, and like I said, these Atari games individually by themselves wouldn't be worth a ton, but with the boxes, that definitely helps the value. Some Atari collector out there probably wants the box just to sit on the shelf. Got the two pairs of sandals, couple bucks a piece, and then the last item that I don't think I shared, only paid $1 for this. This is an NWSL Chopper 3, and I believe it has something to do with cutting up like train tracks, crafting, something like that. It's old, but it's new, and these things do sell online for 20 to 50 bucks depending on the size, the shape, and this was brand new, so only gave $1 for it. My friends here at this thrift store are just so good to me, always looking out for me, always helping me, and I'm just grateful for their love. So back at my casa, ended up doing really good for local thrifting today. My local market can be very hit and miss, and a lot of the reason that is I come from an area that is a tri-city area of over 100,000 people, and we only have one Goodwill store. The next Goodwill store is 45 minutes away in Durango, Colorado, which is not that far, and that market is much different. But because we have such population and such a small amount of thrift stores to choose from, there's just a lot of pressure on a lot of the stores in my local area, which makes thrifting and being successful successful harder. So some tips I would give anybody if they're in a similar circumstance is to always be consistent, be out there sourcing, and get out there early. The more you're out there, the more luck will find its way towards you. My second tip is to always have a good rapport with the people you're purchasing from, whether it be a Goodwill, corporate chain store, get in good with their manager. It's never going to hurt you. Or if it's a smaller thrift store that's privately owned, or maybe a church operated or church thrift store or a nonprofit, those are the stores that I actually get better deals at. Those are the stores that you can actually build a deeper relationship. And when you do that, you're just going to have a better success rate. The people will look out for you more, and it only takes being friendly. And then my third and last final piece of advice for anybody maybe thrifting in a smaller market is to do that market research. Make sure that you're looking up items, you're learning more about what's out there. With reselling, it's endless. You can always learn more about things that are around, that are out there, that people desire and want to own. And with clothing, it's just endless. And that's what I do like about clothing, is it never gets boring. There's always more to learn about clothing brands, clothing materials, fashion styles, fabrics, prints. And so those are just some simple tips that I like to give people. And if you're watching this and you've made it this far, please hit that like button. So now I'm gonna go ahead and share my haul with you, give you an idea what I paid for these items, tell you what I think I might be able to sell them for, and we'll go from there. So right off the bat, one of my bread and butter, most consistent sellers in my store is Ariat. Now, I've sold this exact sweater in gray digital camo, but I sold it in an adult size, and if I remember right, it was probably close to $30 because it was in really great condition. This, however, is a youth size, and it is missing the size tag, so I'm going to definitely have to put some hand measures on it, which I hate to do for a low-end hoodie, but with Ariat, I figured it was worth the grab. I only gave $2 for it. I think I could probably sell this for 16 to 20 bucks, being it is a youth piece. It does have a little bit of color fade. I'll just denote that. When I list Ariat, because it is a Western wear brand, I always like to put Western wear, cowboy, rodeo, farm, ranch, and horseback riding, and I might slip that into the title somewhere, or at least definitely put it into the description box, again, because I'm big on keywords and I know how much they've helped me with my business. Now, next item up, not my favorite camo brand. This is King's Camo, but it was from an upgraded line, and this is the XKG line. This is a quarter zip, and I didn't realize till I just got home that I paid $3 too much on this. I believe the associate at the secondhand wolf thrift store thought that this was a zip up, and it was just a pullover. I'm not going to be too upset about it. This here, I'm not certain what it will sell for. I did, however, look up the jacket in the same line that is sitting right next to it, and it sells for pretty decent money. 3D camo is hot, and while I'm not super crazy about King's Camo, again, this seemed to be from more of their upgraded line. It is fall, and fall and winter is a great time to sell camouflage because it's hunting season across the country. So if I can get somewhere between $25 to $35 for this piece, I will be happy despite having to pay up for it. And again, I paid $8 even though I was only supposed to pay $5, but that's okay. I buy a lot of junk and sell it for tremendous profits. So once in a while when something like that happens, I never worry about it and remind myself that I'm living a dream that I only dreamed about several years back. So next piece I'll share with you is from the same line. It is King's Camo. It's an XKG jacket. Now, I looked up the comps on this, couldn't identify this exact jacket, but these style of jackets were selling for anywhere from 48 to 70 bucks. I'll probably price this one right around $60. Might do a little bit more research and see if I can't figure this one out. If you do figure out the style code, that's always going to give you the name of the item, and you can just go on Google and type it in. That is a great way to make more money off of the items you sell, and I suggest that. Don't rush through your listings. Try to figure out the name of the item. You're always going to get more for it. You'll be able to price it more competitively. You'll just know better what that item is worth. And so I'm going to dip down here and just share with you. I know I spoke on these Tread Labs. Tread Labs are great sandals. When I list any type of sandal like this, I definitely try to include water. I'll put river, ocean, beach, hiking, camping, through hiking, durable, tough, rugged, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. Just use your imagination. But Tread Labs, definitely be on the lookout. They sell for good money. Hopefully I might be able to sell those for somewhere between 35 to 40 bucks. Now, this Ron John piece, Super cool piece. What this is it's a quarter zip that surfers will throw on after they get out of the water. This thing is deep pile, it's super heavy, and the reason they're shaped like this, a little oversized, and are made with thick material, is essentially this is just a pull-on towel. Surfers like to wear these because they can throw it on really quickly and dry off the upper portion of their body, and they're good to load up their surfboard and go home. Now, this is a vintage 90s piece. I was able to locate this exact piece, and only one of them had sold, and it sold for $49. So I only gave $5 for this, and I figured it was worth the gamble. I will have to give this some love, polish it, give it a wash. Has a few lighter spots on it, but if I can get close to 50 bucks for this, I'll be super happy. And I love selling old skateboard, surf gear, snowboarding gear. I was big into all of those sports as a younger man. Now that I'm old and washed up, I just like to watch people do that stuff because it's easy to get hurt. But yeah, super happy to pick that piece up. Now, here's just another piece I'm going to throw in that spring death pile. I already spoke about Montana West. I like selling Western wear. Anything that stands out that's a little jeweled up, gaudy, or has some turquoise and can be associated to Western wear will probably sell to some babe out in Texas or maybe in Oklahoma or Tennessee. So just be on the lookout for these kind of items. And again, if you can be thinking in the off season about picking up items for the next selling season for very cheap, I suggest it. I made the mistake my first few years of not thinking about the next season to come. And when the seasons transition and you don't have a whole lot to list, it can be hard to make money doing this. I'm only saying that from my own humility and place of experience. So I love rain jackets. I already spoke of this piece earlier in the video. North Face Drive-In Kids Raincoat. I will also toss this in the spring death pile because raincoats just really aren't selling right now. It's all about the winter jacket. I can typically sell these drive-ins for right around $25 to $30. This one is missing a little bit of the logo hit graphic on the back shoulder, but it appears pretty clean up front. It's a little dingy, a little dusty, but that's probably just because it's black and because a kid wore it. It does have some wear. All things that I will denote. But again, I love selling that Gorp. It's one of my passions. I love finding it, and I especially love finding vintage Gorp core or vintage outdoor apparel. That stuff sells for some money. Now, this piece here, I went ahead and looked up, totally unfamiliar with it. If I remember right, the gentleman who helped me get on this item at my local thrift store told me that this is used to cut hobby or model train track. And that is a big deal. There's a lot of collectors that are into the Lionel trains, that are into the Northwest Short Line, and I believe that is the brand that this represents. I gave $1 for this. I finally did locate this exact piece, and one of these sold for $59. This might be long tail because it's a smaller market of people who are looking for something like this, but for $1, I was willing to give this real estate to hopefully maybe make 50 to 60 bucks off of it. And if somebody made me a reasonable offer, I would take it pretty quickly just because this is one of those oddballs that might take a little bit of time to sell. But here's a cool score. Now, I'm not so certain that these are worth a whole lot. These Jinko jeans shorts are not worth near as much as the pants can be, but you definitely want to keep a lookout for them. And as I said earlier in the video, the more embroidered, the wider the legs and the crazier, the funkier it is, the more the Jinko jeans, shorts, and pants can go for. I will have to do a little bit more research, but I only paid $5 and some change for these. So even if I only sell them for 25 to 30 bucks, I'll be happy. But I did see some of the vintage shorts selling for anywhere from 35 to upwards of $90, just depending. I just couldn't locate these, and these do seem a little bit more basic, but that's all right. I like vintage clothing. It reminds me of being in high school. So this is the coolest find of the day. Now, Atari vintage games alone without the box don't typically sell for a whole lot unless they're kind of a rare, highly sought after game. I looked up a couple of these, and a couple of these with the box were selling for pretty decent money for what I figured I'd have to buy them for. And some of these didn't sell for a whole lot, and a couple of them I could not even locate with the box. But my target is to find somebody who really likes to collect Atari, who's really crazy about Atari video games and the gaming consoles and just playing Atari, and I'll find someone like that and I'll sell them this simply for the box, not so much for the game. paper products that hold items like this are often disposed of. And so for these boxes to make it this far out from when they were produced, which was probably the late 70s to early 80s, I'm shocked. They're in really great condition for the most part. There are a couple that the tops have tears, but these collectors don't care. They'll tape that up, they'll set it on a shelf, and it'll just be a conversation piece for them. So I gave $1 a piece for these. I did offer 50 cents. They countered back to $1, and I think they just wanted $1 a piece simply because they did have the boxes. That thrift store is so good to me that I didn't mind paying that added cost, because I think I could probably sell each of these individually for somewhere between $10 to $30, depending on the desire. And many of these will probably go for more like 10, 15, maybe 15 to 20, but I got to do a little bit more research. Again, I did not look all these up when I was in the store, but I love old vintage toys and video games. And I was a kid that grew up in the 80s. I was born in the early 80s. So stuff like this just really takes me back. And a big reason I love reselling is that I find stuff from my past. I find things from my family's past history, things that my parents liked, things that my grandparents loved and wore or collected. And that just makes it that much more special and makes it feel like I found a hidden treasure. So as always, if you like this video, please reach out there, hit that like button, please subscribe, or if you like watching full-length content where I go out and source goods to resell online for profit, hit that box right there.